The moment you stop chasing her is the moment she starts feeling you again. Most men don't lose a woman because they're not good enough. They lose her because they don't understand positioning. The moment things feel uncertain, they panic, they reach out more, they try to explain themselves, they send long emotional messages trying to fix what feels broken. But attraction doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to strength, and strength is calm. When you choose silence, you're not playing games. You're regaining your center, you're showing that your emotional state is not dependent on her behavior. That alone shifts everything. Because the man who is unaffected by temporary distance communicates high value without saying a word. See, when you chase, you place her above you. You subtly signal that her approval determines your stability. But when you step back and become quiet, you communicate something powerful. I'm good either way. That mindset is magnetic. It shows you have options, purpose, and emotional control. Silence removes the validation she may have grown used to. If she was comfortable knowing you would always text first, always check in, always try to repair things, that comfort can lower attraction. Certainty kills mystery. When you stop over giving attention, the dynamic changes. Now she has space to wonder, and wondering creates emotional movement. But this only works if your silence is rooted in strength, not bitterness. If you're silent while obsessing, checking her social media, or waiting anxiously for a message, that energy still leaks. Real power comes when you genuinely shift your focus back to your mission, your health, your growth. You're not using silence to manipulate, you're using it to reset yourself. Women are naturally drawn to men who feel grounded, a man who doesn't overreact, a man who doesn't crumble under emotional pressure. When she senses that you're stable enough to walk away rather than beg, respect increases, and where respect grows, attraction has room to return. Silence also prevents you from saying things you'll regret. When emotions are high, words become weapons. Many men talk themselves out of attraction by over explaining or defending themselves. Silence protects your image, it keeps your value intact, it allows time to work in your favor. And here's the deeper truth: the person who is less attached to the outcome holds more power. When you embrace silence, you detach from forcing results. You accept that if she comes back, it's because she wants to, not because you convinced her. That shift in mentality transforms you from reactive to composed. When she realizes you're not chasing, not pleading, not trying to control the situation, she starts recessing. Your calm becomes intriguing. Your absence becomes noticeable. Your strength becomes attractive again. And that's when the dynamic begins to turn. One of the most powerful psychological triggers in attraction is uncertainty. When everything feels predictable, when she knows exactly how you're going to respond, when she's certain you'll always be there, no matter how distant she becomes, emotional intensity drops. Certainty feels safe, but it rarely feels exciting. And attraction thrives on emotional movement, not comfort alone. When you choose silence, you introduce something she didn't expect. You interrupt the pattern. If she was used to your daily texts, your quick replies, your constant reassurance, and suddenly that stream of attention slows down or stops, her mind begins to search for answers. Human nature doesn't like unanswered questions. The brain automatically tries to fill in the gaps. She may start wondering why you haven't reached out. Is he upset? Did he lose interest? Is he talking to someone else? Is he finally moving on? That internal questioning creates emotional tension. And tension, when it comes to attraction, is powerful. It pulls her attention back toward you without you saying a word. Most men make the mistake of trying to remove uncertainty. They over clarify, they over explain. They try to make everything crystal clear because they believe reassurance builds connection. In reality, too much reassurance can remove the very mystery that fuels desire. When she knows she has you completely locked in, with zero risk of losing you, the challenge disappears. And without challenge, emotional investment weakens. Silence restores that edge. It reminds her that you are not guaranteed, that you are a man with options, standards, and self respect. When your attention is no longer automatic, it becomes valuable again. People naturally value what isn't easily accessible. If access to you feels earned rather than automatic, your perceived worth increases. But here's the key: the silence must come from confidence, not strategy. If you're silent while secretly hoping she panics, you're still operating from neediness. The real shift happens when you genuinely detach from the outcome. You're not trying to make her miss you, you're simply refusing to chase someone who is unsure about you. That calm detachment creates space, and in that space, her imagination starts working. She may replay conversations, She may revisit memories. She may question her own decision to pull back. The emotional distance gives her the opportunity to feel your absence without you forcing it. Curiosity is a powerful driver of human behavior. When she becomes curious about what you're doing, who you're with, or whether you're moving forward without her, she starts leaning in emotionally. And leaning in is the opposite of pulling away. You don't have to convince someone to value you. Sometimes you just have to step back enough for them to feel what life is like without your presence. And when curiosity replaces certainty, attraction has room to grow again. One of the biggest mistakes a man can make when a woman pulls away is continuing to give her the same level of access to him as if nothing changed. He keeps texting, he keeps checking in, he keeps trying to maintain the emotional connection. But what he doesn't realize is that as long as he's still there, providing attention, validation, and emotional energy, she never truly feels his absence. And if she never feels the loss, she has no reason to reassess her decision. People don't value something fully until they experience what life is like without it. When you choose silence, you remove the emotional supply she may have grown accustomed to. Your compliments, your presence, your consistency, those things have weight, but they only have weight when they're not constantly available. The moment you stop offering them freely, a void is created, and that void forces reflection. At first, she may enjoy the space. She may feel relief if things have become tense or emotionally heavy. But as days pass and your presence doesn't return, the emotional reality starts to shift. The good memories begin to surface. The stability you brought becomes clearer. The comfort of knowing you were there becomes noticeable in its absence. Silence allows time to do what arguments never can. When emotions are high, logic doesn't work. Trying to convince someone of your value rarely succeeds, but absence speaks quietly and powerfully. It lets her experience the contrast between having you and not having you. The human mind often romanticizes what it no longer has. When you're constantly available, small flaws seem bigger. But when you're gone, perspective changes. She may begin to think about how you handled situations calmly, how you supported her, how you showed up consistently without you there to remind her. Her own mind does the remembering. And here's the deeper truth: attraction cannot grow in an environment where one person feels no risk of loss. If she believes you will always be there regardless of how she behaves, there's no urgency, no emotional pressure, no fear of missing out. Silence reintroduces that reality in a healthy way. It communicates that you have standards, that you will not overextend yourself for someone who is unsure. But this only works if your silence is clean. No passive aggressive posts, no indirect messages, no attempts to make her jealous, just calm withdrawal of attention and a quiet return to your own life. That composure amplifies the impact. When she finally feels the weight of your absence, it's not because you told her to miss you, it's because she experienced life without you in it. And that experience often speaks louder than any conversation ever could. Sometimes the strongest message you can send is no message at all. When a woman pulls back, tests you, or creates distance, most men react emotionally. They take it personally, they feel rejected, their ego gets involved, and instead of staying grounded, they begin defending themselves, explaining their intentions, or trying to force clarity. But emotional reactions reveal insecurity, and insecurity weakens attraction faster than almost anything else. Silence, when used correctly, demonstrates emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is the ability to feel something without being controlled by it. It's the ability to experience uncertainty without panicking. When you don't rush to respond, when you don't fire off long emotional messages, when you don't demand reassurance, you show that you are centered, that you are stable, that your world doesn't collapse because someone else is having doubts. That kind of composure is rare, and rarity creates value. And a mature man understands that attraction naturally fluctuates. There are ups and downs, moments of closeness and moments of distance. Instead of trying to control his fluctuations, he allows space. He doesn't see temporary distance as a threat. He sees it as part of the dynamic. That perspective alone separates him from men who operate from fear. When you remain silent instead of reacting, you send a powerful message without speaking. You communicate that you respect yourself enough not to beg, that you trust your value enough not to oversell it, that you're strong enough to walk away rather than chase someone who is unsure. And self respect is deeply attractive because it signals emotional strength. Women are naturally drawn to men who feel safe emotionally. Not safe in the sense of predictable and boring, but safe in the sense of stable and grounded, a man who can handle pressure without cracking, a man who doesn't explode when things don't go his way, a man who doesn't guilt trip or manipulate when he feels insecure. Silence in tense moments shows leadership. It shows you're thinking instead of reacting. It shows you're choosing dignity over impulse. And that calm energy shifts how she sees you. Instead of viewing you as someone seeking approval, she begins to see you as someone who approves of himself. This is where many men misunderstand silence. It's not about punishing her, it's not about trying to teach her a lesson. That mindset is rooted in ego. True emotional maturity means you step back because you refuse to participate in unstable dynamics. You protect your peace, you protect your energy, and you allow space for clarity to develop naturally. Over time, she begins to notice the difference. She compares your calmness to the emotional chaos she may have experienced with others. She realizes that you didn't attack, accuse, or overact. You simply maintained your frame, and then that restraint builds respect, and when respect increases, attraction often follows right behind it. Because at the end of the day, emotional control is power, and power is attractive. Silence is not just about creating space between you and her, it's about creating space between you and the version of yourself that was too focused on her. When a relationship starts to slip, many men freeze emotionally. They pause their growth, they obsess over what went wrong, their routines weaken, their focus disappears, and without realizing it, they begin shrinking their own world. But silence, when used correctly, redirects that energy. Instead of watching your phone, you return to your mission. Instead of replaying conversations in your head, you hit the gym, you refine your skills, you double down on your finances, you strengthen your friendships, you invest in your appearance, you clean up the parts of your life that were neglected while you were emotionally consumed. This shift is powerful because attraction is not built on words, it's built on perception. When she eventually checks back in and she sees progress instead of stagnation, the dynamic changes immediately. If she senses that you've grown stronger, more focused, more confident, it challenges her previous perception of you. Many men stay exactly the same after a breakup or pullback. They wait, they hope, they remain emotionally parked in the same place, but growth creates contrast, and contrast creates intrigue. When she notices that your life did not collapse without her, but instead improved, it sends a clear message: you are a man with purpose. Purpose is magnetic. A man who is building something meaningful is far more attractive than a man who is waiting to be chosen. When your time is valuable, your attention becomes valuable. When your schedule is full, your availability becomes limited, and limited access increases perceived worth. But here's the deeper layer: this improvement is not just for her, it's for you, because the strongest position you can be in is one where you genuinely don't need a specific outcome. If she comes back, great. If she doesn't, you're still advancing. That mindset eliminates desperation completely. And desperation is what destroys attraction faster than anything else. When she feels that you're moving forward regardless of her decision, she senses independence. Independence signals strength. Strength commands respect. And respect is often the foundation for renewed desire. Silence gives you the gift of perspective. It allows you to evaluate what you tolerated, what you overlooked, what standards you need to raise. Growth is not just physical or financial, it's emotional. You become more disciplined, more selective, less reactive. So when she reappears, she's not meeting the same man she left. She's meeting a refined version, a more focused version, a man who used distance as fuel instead of weakness. And that transformation speaks louder than any message ever could, because when you level up in silence, your value increases without you having to announce it. Attraction is powerful only when it's voluntary. You can't negotiate genuine desire. You can't logically convince someone to feel something deeply. The moment you start persuading, explaining, or pressuring, the dynamic shifts from attraction to obligation. And obligation never sustains a healthy connection. Silence creates space, and space allows choice. When you stop chasing, stop initiating every conversation, and stop trying to force clarity, you remove pressure from the situation. You're no longer pulling at her emotionally. You're no longer trying to guide her feelings. You simply step back and allow her to sit with her own thoughts. That space becomes a mirror. It forces her to evaluate how she truly feels without your influence. Many men unintentionally suffocate attraction by constantly seeking reassurance. Do you still want this? Where do we stand? Are you sure? These questions come from fear, and fear pushes energy outward. Silence does the opposite. It pulls your energy back inward. It centers you. When she senses that you're no longer trying to control the outcome, something shifts. The emotional tension that once felt heavy becomes lighter. The pressure disappears. And in that absence of pressure, desire has room to breathe again. Think about it this way: people value what they feel they chose. If she comes back because you persuaded her, she'll always subconsciously feel like she settled. But if she reaches out because she genuinely missed you, because she reflected and realized your value, the energy is completely different. It's authentic, it's voluntary. Silence gives her the opportunity to lean forward. When she texts first, when she asks how you've been, when she reopens the door, it's no longer you chasing, it's her investing. And whoever is investing more emotionally is the one who feels more attachment. By stepping back, you create the possibility for her to step up. But this only works if you are truly prepared to accept either outcome. Silence is not a tactic to guarantee her return, it's a boundary. It says, I will not force someone to be in my life. That mindset is powerful because it's rooted in self worth. If she chooses to come back, you welcome her calmly. You don't interrogate her, you don't punish her. You simply allow the connection to rebuild naturally. And if she doesn't come back, you've already proven to yourself that you can walk away with dignity. That is real power, because when you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself, you shift the entire dynamic. And that's when she either steps forward willingly or steps aside completely.